the program itself, the planning itself, and the visual itself. Oh, no, it's not live yet. It's not live yet. It's just a briefing session. Okay. Okay, so we will start. Okay. Okay, Assalamualaikum and good morning to the panels. Mr. Muizz Salleh, the Deputy Chief of Marketing Department Quiz, Tuan Hussein Arif, the President of Malaysian Association of Creativity and Innovation MACRI, and then the academician representative from Polish University Islam Antarabangsa Selangor, and the academician representative from University Selangor, and then the representative from SUK Selangor. And welcome as well to the VIPs from Quiz and Unicell, and to all the public audience as well as the attendee. And then that are watching this session today. Thank you to each and every one of you for being here with us today. We are very pleased to be able to welcome those of you that have been with us for a long time, since 4 December. If I'm not mistaken, we have started since 4 December, as well as to those who are new to this program. Today's mark our third week of Weekend Webinar BERNAS 2021 program. We are proud to be able to make it possible till today, and this time with all of you. Before we get started, I would like to focus on our topic today, which is about creative phase in innovation. Creative is the act of creativity, creating something new. It is the ability to develop new ideas and discover new ways of a look on how to solve a problem and how to look at new opportunities. Okay, statistic of the world regarding creativity is that regarding of the world statistic, 75% of the people think they are not living up to their creative potential. 6 in 10 people ratio of people felt that being creative is valuable to their country economy, and on top of that, 7 in 10 of ratio people in United States alone. So today we are going to bring out this issue, the importance of the issue, on how to tackle this issue to our forum session today. And I would like to introduce our two distinguished panels today. Mr. Muizz Salleh, the Deputy Chief, our panel number 1, Mr. Muizz Salleh, Deputy Chief of Marketing Quiz, that has graduated a bachelor degree from UNIMAS and finished his master level at University Utara Malaysia. He has 4 of professional certificates related to design and creativity, more than 6 research of publication related to our topics today, a lot of grant project under his supervision, the silver, bronze, and gold medal in a lot of innovation competition, and lastly had served Quiz for more than 10 years. Our second panel, Tuan Hussein bin Datuk Muhammad Harif, the President of MACRI. MACRI stands for Malaysian Association of Creativity and Innovation. The MACRI, or the short form is MACRI. MACRI is the NGOs that serve the society regarding on how important of creative elements and system in our daily life activities. Okay, Mr. Hussein has long been associated with creativity and innovation throughout his career. Before he started his career at MACRI, he has started his career at HRDF, a professional human resource development funding, and he was later appointed as the honorary secretary of MACRI and focuses on training as he heads the Training and Development Bureau since June 2018. He was appointed as the current president of MACRI and heads the Innovation Program Development Bureau till today. Hussein has served as the chairperson for Public Service Innovation Awards (PSIA) committee since 2019 and International Innovation Awards recognizing innovative initiative from the public sectors. PSIA is part of the annual Malaysian Technology Expo (MTE), Malaysia premier international expo on innovation and technology since 2001. Basically, he has served a lot of clients, a big client, a VIP clients such as Proton, Highcom, Tradewinds International Insurance Broker, Felda, Negeri Sembilan, and then Negeri Sembilan Skills Development Center, Dewan Bandaraya Kuala Lumpur, Kementerian Sains, Teknologi and Inovasi Malaysia, MOSTI, MAIS, and more than that. Through his training and consultancy experience, Tuan Hussein Arif has embarked on various commercialization, which includes an invention from Majlis Perbandaran Kuantan, transit killer rat, a dual purpose garbage bin, and rat trap. To have commercialized this invention, he has started all his training, especially regarding on creativity in innovation. I would like to welcome to these two our distinguished panels. Welcome Tuan Hussein Arif and welcome to Mr. Muizz Salleh. We are very honored to be able to have this session with all of you today. To all the VIPs, I would like to have a brief short session. We are going to have 4 sessions of explanation of forums from these two distinguished panel, from Tuan Hussein Arif and Mr. Muizz Salleh. We will start from our panel 1 and then we continue to our panel 2, and then we start the Q&A session from the VIPs. And then we will start the second session from Nur Muizz Salleh and then Tuan Hussein Arif for the second session, and then we will have a second of Q&A session, and then we will start the wrap-up session. Okay, I would like to start off this topic today, discussion topic today, creativity in innovation. We start with our panel number 1, Mr. Nur Muizz Salleh. The floor is yours.
Right, thank you, Mr. Farhan. Can you hear my voice?
Yeah, very clear.
Right. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And thank you, Mr. Farhan and the group of team from BERNAS for giving me the opportunity to share some of my experience and opinions in this session related to creativity phase this time. And also thank you to Mr. Hussein, the President of Malaysian Association of Creativity and Innovation, or MACRI. Thank you for being sudi menjadi panelis with me this morning. It's like Billy's and Jerome. Okay, and I feel very, very kerdil actually when Mr. Farhan and our dean asked me to talk about creativity. But I try my best to share it for BERNAS program and for all VIPs. And not forget our VIPs, very important participants for today. And first of all, so sorry for my voice. I'm still recovering from flu and my sore throat. Okay, and I hope you can see my screen.
Yep, can.
Okay, sorry for the photo. I try my best.
I can see the post. I can see the post.
Actually, to show my creativity, I think that's a creativity mode, creativity thinking mode. And as what Mr. Farhan shared just now, I'm Muizz from FSTM quiz, and I am teaching about almost 11 years in quiz, teaching in multimedia subject. And my new responsibility right now is to help quiz in marketing department, especially in digital marketing area. It's very difficult task actually. Try my best. But enough about me. Let's get to the business. Inshallah, in this session, this first session, to define creativity, and I'll share a bit about why creativity decline so much so disastrous when children grow from age 5 to age 15. And last but not least, why creativity isn't just about creating a gadget. Okay, I believe Mr. Farhan just explained a little bit about definition of creativity, and our definition of creativity is, I think, is crucial. First of all, how you define creativity. I believe kind of same like what Mr. Farhan just said. It's about creativity is about novel ideas or new thing, right? And I would like to share a definition of creativity from Professor Shlomo Maital. He's from one of his program, Cracking the Creativity Code. Zoom in, zoom out. Zoom in, zoom out, zoom in. That's his book. Okay, from his book. And he defines creativity as widening the range of choice. And the reason this definition is important is that many of us are creature of habit, and we try to narrow the range of choice rather than widen it. We pick things that we like, and then we stick with that. And we avoid new things because new things are sometimes uncomfortable. Okay, and so the very first step in becoming very creative, more creative, is to break the chain of habit, and to explore new things, new foods, maybe new clothes, again, new music, new friends, new circle, and of course, new experience. And Warren Buffett once said that the chain of habit are too light, actually too light to be felt until they become too heavy to broken. It's like comfort zone. So breaking the chain of habit, explore your uncomfortable zone, which means widening the range of choice. Okay, widening the range of choices. You can do the same thing, which is very comfortable and very safe, very secure, or you can try new things. And those new things, if you don't like them, if they're not good for you, don't do them. Just drop them. Okay. But if they are good, hopefully they can enrich your life, and your life much more interesting and lively. So here is small experiment. I like all participants today to fold your hand. Okay, fold your hand normally. Okay, just what I have done. Okay, like this. Fold your hand. Okay, now normally you fold your hand in one way, right? So I fold my arm with right over the left. Okay, right over the left. So now can you reverse your arms? Reverse your arms. Okay, fold your arms over, okay, your left, if that's the opposite way that you usually do. How does it feel? How does it feel?
I'm not feeling comfortable doing this. While I'm changing this posture, I'm not comfortable.
Okay.
Apart from being usual of myself.
Right, right. So for me, it feels a little bit uncomfortable because I'm not used to it. Okay, we're not used to it. This is what I'm used to. Okay, normally I just fold that this way. Okay, so we are comfortable with things we used to. Okay, we are comfortable with things that are new. We are uncomfortable with things that are new. That we are not used to. Practice being uncomfortable so that when you develop new ideas, you can overcome that discomfort barrier. Okay, so break your habits and break the chain of habit. And creativity is actually doing something, in making something happen. Isn't just the idea. For example, Da Vinci had a great ideas. He wrote, I believe all of you know that he wrote all the ideas in his notebook, and most of them were never implemented. He invented the tank, the submarine, the airplane, the helicopter, the parachute, you name it. Okay, but somebody built a Da Vinci parachute based on his drawings, but it took 500 years. We don't want to wait 500 years for people to implement our ideas. That's what it means by head in clouds and feet on the ground. And I would like to share with you this study. Okay, this is a study done by Len and Jarman in their 1992 book, and it shows a creativity measured by the Torrance creativity test. And I believe in our previous program, the ICC, one of our trainers actually, Shafiq Al Hiroshima, give our participants this simple Torrance test, simple Torrance creativity test to them. I believe, I hope that kind of activity will be give in our participant in this program. And based on this research in this study, he given to kids who are 5 a version of test when they're 10, and then they are 15, and later when they're adults. Of course, 5 years old are geniuses in terms of creativity, because all 5 years old are creative, and the reason is simple. They haven't yet learned what is impossible. So anything is possible for them. Okay. And for a creative person, when anything is possible, everything is possible. And they send them to school and they learn the right way to do things, and the creativity score drops from 98% genius to 32% genius and 10% genius when they are 15. And by the time they're adult, the genius percentage is down to 2%. We have beaten out the creativity spark from them. Okay, the question is, can you teach children to think creatively? Or are they just born with it? Well, according to big expert, Paul Torrance, who invented one of the main tests of creativity, he says, I know it can be done. He has done itself. His wife has done it, and he's seen excellent teachers do it. We have all seen children who are non-thinkers learn to think creatively for years afterward, simply by practice, by stimulation, and by inspired teachers teach them how to do it. And there are many studies who show how to do this, how to use practice exercise to stimulate creativity. And we now know that some of these exercise, including creativity exercise, actually change psychology of our brain in a way that highly desirable. So to make this point and to emphasize it, creativity widening the range of choices, not just in terms of gadgets, the things that we buy and the use every day, but in every aspect of human existence. So everything we do from morning till night, everything people do, organizations and governments and societies or cities, creativity is about widening the range of choice in everything. So we face a world of growing resource scarcity, of shrinking government budgets, of growing human needs, of growing poverty, growing inequality, and we can either either wring our hands about it, or we can say, how can I use my brain, this great gift that have been given to us, the gift of imagination? How can we use it to come up with ideas that maybe use fewer resources to create more fruitful, more enriched, more happy, more full life for people everywhere through time? And I would like to end my session with Da Vinci 8-power question for all of us to answer it. You can print screen it, and to define what is our deepest passion. And I think this ends my first session. Allahu Alam. Back to you, Mr. Farhan. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Muizz Salleh. It's a very, actually, I do kind of admire Leonardo da Vinci actually, because he's the one who's always practicing the design guideline that we call as golden ratio. So every time he's produced an artwork, he always have a guideline to produce a creative artwork. So he solved the creative issue using the guideline system that provided by the scholars. So he's someone that we should admire. Thank you, Mr. Muizz Salleh. I hope VIPs have the question they are going to ask later on. And now we would like to continue the session to Tuan Hussein Arif. Tuan Hussein, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Cik Farhan, to my also distinguished fellow panelist speaker, Cik Muizz, and all the VIPs today. Okay, so I'm going to also touch on creativity. What is creativity? But from maybe from an association point of view, from the grassroots innovators themselves, and those who have been involved. Now my slide. Let me just get to my slide.
It's a nice background.
Okay, is there? Okay, my audio is good. Okay, ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay,
we have a nice visual and audio.
Alhamdulillah. Baik. Okay, so Assalamualaikum everyone. I shall touch on creativity, but I'm also actually my slide does include a bit of story, a bit about what is Makri, what we do, with the hope that you understand where we come from, our understanding of what is creativity and innovation. So Malaysian Association of Creativity and Innovation actually started since 2007, and I'm glad you mentioned about how you admire Leonardo, not DiCaprio, Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo da Vinci is because actually Makri, when we were established, we kind of were the only one that celebrated that, because there's this world movement on celebrating creativity, and the most recognizable character or person is actually Leonardo da Vinci, as you mentioned, because he is able to combine both his technical, his creativity in terms of arts, and the technical part, the engineering aspect of it. So he's able to combine that part. So that is why he's a person that has been recognized as championing creativity and innovation. And actually, if you Google World Creativity and Innovation Week, WCIW, is something that started off in Canada, I believe, by just an activist, a person who is promoting creativity. And Malaysia, actually, when we were established in 2007, we took upon as the organization to promote this World Creativity and Innovation Week. That's how we kind of started also one of our initiative back in even 2007, I believe 2008. We started this celebration, and the celebration coincides with Leonardo da Vinci's birthday, which is sometime in March, and I believe it's like between 13th to the 21st of March. So every year it's an annual thing. And I think if you were to Google, my latest search in the Google, I saw that it's expanded from just 1 week near celebration, it became to 1 month celebration and so forth. So Makri was involved, especially in the early years in this World Creativity Innovation Week. And we're always telling people to, hey, if you're going to do anything to celebrate creativity innovation, try to coincide with that week, so that you kind of can masuk dalam calendar, because the person who promotes this Creativity Innovation Week ni, dia kind of encourage people to include it, they include it in the world calendar kind of thing. And I believe there was about a few years back, if you were to read about it, also you will find that even the United Nations has kind of recognized this particular celebration under the United Nations. So there was a big kind of thing that this person announced on the Facebook dan sebagainya. So anyway, let me continue. So objective for Makri is basically we are here as an NGO, we understand that we are not a government body. We are not funded by the government to run our association. However, we do basically do on a project-to-project basis when there is a requirement by any government agencies to do some programs. So we do get funding from them, definitely. But it's not that we are funded throughout our existence. We had to find our own money dah juga. So why I'm saying that is because some might say, okay, I want to ask Makri, do you have any money to help my innovation ke tak? Directly to us tak ada lah. We can assist you in terms of networking to the right people dan sebagainya. So Makri is more of, I would say, an association where if you join, it's a networking, yeah, and it's a way to get to know lah the environment, the ecosystem of creativity and innovation. Yeah. Some of our partners that we team up, especially during early years of our formation. Yeah, one of the notable one would be the Yayasan Inovasi Malaysia. We've done quite a number of programs. Obviously, MOSTI juga, because it comes under the Ministry of Science and Technology. And we have had a lot of speakers, programs, experts in terms of creativity and innovation, intellectual property consultants, and then trainers, coaches, sebagainya. Yeah. I'm just going to go through very fast because I want to touch on the definition of what creativity, but just a bit of background. The programs that we did, this was back earlier on when we had our president, because I'm basically like the third or fourth president lah for Makri, but the initial president, our founding president, Datuk Ghazi Sheikh Ramli, he basically funded quite a number of our earlier programs and basically really helped us to formalize the association. And this is just some programs that we did, workshops, road shows that we did, especially masa tahun 2008, that was when the government declared Tahun Inovatif. And that is where you will see some organisation dia dah, kalau before it used to be a celebration of Hari Quality or Bulan Quality, but now it's more of Hari Inovasi. And we were partly involved also in that, promoting the celebration. We did workshops, like we did programs like this, which is like thinking outside the box, as Cik Muizz mentioned earlier, about how we when we do something new, uncomfortable dan sebagainya. So that's actually part of our what I would say is something like when we reset our mind. And then some programs also with the universities. So because it's creativity, inovasi, university, so we combine that, become jadi Camp Innovacity. Okay, combine. That's one part that will come in later in my another talk later on. Yeah. And then we heard some recent ones, because those are yang lama-lama. Recent ones would be, I think, just share things that we have done through STEM. STEM, which is promoting science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So we did quite a lot of programs. This is also partly funded, in fact, no, mostly funded, definitely funded by the state government of Selangor. So some of these are just a sampling of programs that we did. And we have a center. When I say we team up with STEM Makerspace. So we have a center dekat Daman Mall. Yeah. So there is a place. So this also Makri will use as a place to meet up with innovators, with those who are interested to know more about innovation. And then earlier on also we had some collaboration with MPC, stands for the Malaysian Productivity Corporation, to publish some local innovators, because we talk a lot about, of course, the foreign innovators and sebagainya, personalities, but we also have local personalities. So this book, I believe, if you to Google, maybe in MPC, there is a way that you can download PDF form. This was zaman tu we still publish, we print, tapi they do have a PDF version of this. So inside here we feature some innovators, and one of them that I want to highlight here is Robert Yong. He's a serial innovator or serial inventor. Serial, bukan serial killer, tapi serial inventor. Maknanya dia ada banyak invention. And as mentioned by Encik Muizz, sometimes kita ada banyak idea, mungkin banyak projects, Tapi yang betul-betul really successful and in the market is maybe very few, but these are the ones that are basically providing financial assistance dan sebagainya lah, which is really and I think the picture doesn't really show much, but basically just a quick one. Robert Yong, he is the inventor for those instant chop. Kita buat stamp chop, instant one. So he's basically the inventor for that. So he sells his machines overseas juga dan sebagainya. And obviously he would do some licensing, so he doesn't really need to manufacture himself. Orang lain buat dan sebagainya, and quite a lot of others lah. Okay, so these are, so if you were to get the book, you download, you will see a few other personalities, our own local innovators. So when I say innovators, is I look at it as inventor and innovator could be two different things. You innovate certain thing, but inventor, maybe you really invent something like a gadget. But as Cik Muizz mentioned, it's not just limited to gadgets. Invention, innovation is not limited to just gadgets. There could be business model baru yang you introduce. So this is no gadget, but you introduce something that is quite new, unique. So that is why I say innovators in general lah. And then of course under Yayasan Inovasi Malaysia, we have this lady in the middle. Why I want to highlight the one in the middle is because she is the wife of Mr. Robert Yong. Okay, and she came up with this invention, which is a filter that can be portable, filter that is portable, using actually basically it's just a small little cap at the top. The innovation essentially is a valve dekat atas botol tu. The bottle is not you don't invent the bottle, you don't even invent the pump bicycle, but it's the part where you put at the top of the bottle tu. So again, I don't have much time to go into the details. Just use Uncle Google, and inshallah I think you can find out more about it. Myself personally, I do more on training programs, and especially with the government sector, okay, the public sector, as mentioned by Encik Farhan in the introduction. So I involved in the training, and Makri, this slide basically is to show that Makri is the only organization which is not linked to a government agency, not under any ministry, which is highlighted in the in a roadshow to introduce basically on creativity innovation. And we as an association was listed among there's Kementerian Science, Technology, Inovasi, there's CIVIM, there's Technology Park Malaysia. All these are government agencies, and then you got Agency Inovasi Malaysia, and then on the further right is Yayasan Inovasi Malaysia. But we as Makri, as association, was also highlighted in a slide which is actually part of a roadshow under Mampu, a government aid organization, to introduce about creativity innovation for the public sector. So we were listed, as you can see in the Dana section, we don't have Dana, but we can provide consulting services and advices. And then part of my initiative, my kind of a pet project, I introduced this mark. I call it the Eureka mark. You yang Eureka. So why I introduced this is basically is my I call it a pet project. It's still in the working progress. Because I find that for products, when you look at products sold, you have of course the chop buatan Malaysia, you got chop sirim, you got chop untuk halal, you got all sorts of best design chop dan sebagainya. But I believe there is no such thing as a chop to indicate that the product or services was innovated by a Malaysian. It can be made in China, but if it was invented or innovated by a Malaysian, so I want to encourage people to use a mark which is called, I call it Eureka. And part of my initiative to introduce this mark, I actually Makri kind of sponsored award under the government punya competition to introduce in some innovation. So we kind of sponsored the award. Okay. And it started as Anugerah Inovasi, Satu Inovasi. That was the earlier on, started as Satu Inovasi, and then it kind of rebranded into Eureka. Okay, and this is the MPE that I've done. All right. Okay, now so we go into the subject matter of creativity innovation. And Makri is very important why we put the word C, creativity and innovation. There is a reason also behind it, although it sounds also nice, Makri, but some kids get confused between dia ingat macaroni ke macam Italian punya food pula kan. So Makri, Makri. So the C comes first before the I because we believe that it's creativity and then innovation. It's like a process, like a flow. So taken from this book about what is creativity and innovation, it talks about novel idea. Creativity is when you have a novel idea, but not just that, because if you just have an idea, it's in your head. So it's actually when you actually produce it, when you actually see it in reality. So that's how we look at creativity macam ni. We see as it's a novel idea, but you have it in your head. You talk about it, you may write about it, you may discuss, you might have a sketch apa semua. So creativity is like more like a process where you generate ideas. But when I say ideas here, obviously it means new ideas or new way of applying something that is applied somewhere else, but you kind of do it in a new context, a new place. So generating, coming up with ideas, producing ideas, getting the ideas, formulating ideas, and recognizing the ideas. So I picture it as seeds. These are seeds where you plant into the ground. You don't see any fruit or plant yet, but you plant it in the ground, and there are many. Just like farmer, dia kena ada banyak seeds, because we don't know which one will produce the best fruits dan sebagainya. That's my alarm for 50 minutes. Do I have a bit more, few more minutes?
No, it's okay, continue.
Okay, so so the thing is, this is part of a process where we say creativity is when you generate ideas, and it's like a process. In fact, if you break out the word, creativity is create plus activity. Is to create and then plus an activity. It's an activity because you have to have an activity in order to come up with this idea. But how to come up with a lot of ideas, crazy ideas, that one I will touch on later in my next slot. Then I'll talk about more about how to generate as many ideas as possible. Crazy ideas juga tu. Okay, so this is my part of my reference is just Wikipedia, Encik Muizz. Not so academic. I'm sorry, kita ni tak ada background academic. But anyways, Wikipedia can confirm that creativity essentially is a process, in discovering of new ideas, new concepts. So it's a process. So what is innovation? Essentially, from our point of view, innovation is the creative ideas are implemented and applied. Is applied, is implemented. So this one pun banyak, a lot of lively discussions about, does it mean that it's being sold? Does it mean that it's a bestseller in the market dan sebagainya? For me, if you ask me, not necessarily, because the market decides whether a product is popular, sellable dan sebagainya. The market will decide. But sometimes an inventor, for him, he has come up, not only just the idea in the head, but he has actually come up with a prototype, and the proof of concept is there. But no doubt, memang betul lah, a product will make it in the world market is if it really proves to be better than what is already available and consistently. So that is the part where sometimes when we come out with a project, innovation, proof of concept, tapi it's not sustainable, or you cannot be repeated many times. Dia macam benda tu jadi sekali, tapi after that buat sekali lagi benda tu rosak ke dan sebagainya. So you got to make sure that it's become can be repeated lah, the innovation yang you buat tu. But essentially to me, the way I look at it, innovation is when you have an idea and then you actually implemented the thing, you actually do it. But whether benda tu laku ke tak in the market is to me is another different thing, because it's sometimes about marketing juga. So you've taken that step to innovate an idea that you have, and obviously it must be new. If it's something that already online dah ada and exactly you ciplak, then basically it's just ciplak lah. I don't know where does ciplak fall under creativity and innovation, but essentially is when you have something that is new. So again, the seeds, kalau creativity is the seeds, all the seeds tu banyak-banyak idea, and then the yang mana yang tumbuh, the one that you can actually see. So when I say C, to put, don't be confused. Again, I'm saying creative innovation, not limited to just gadget. You see the process. You've introduced a new process. You introduce a new method. Okay, a new method in the new context. Why I have to say stress that is because I think I'll maybe touch the maybe I'll mention now the example what I mean. Say for example, when you make payment yang jenis pandu lalu, you make drive-through punya payment maybe. When I say maybe because now people do a lot of online, but I'm trying to illustrate an example of when people follow another example somewhere, tapi in the new context. So making payment, bill, electric, TNB, bayar apa ni, pergi post office dan sebagainya, there is a drive-through. I think even now bayar zakat pun, there is a drive-through. Some masjid have introduced bayar zakat, drive-through. So where do you think the idea came from? The drive-through concept.
Even till now, I'm still questioning where they get this kind of idea.
Oh, where they get the idea? Well, it's inspired. It's essentially it's inspired by, I believe I've gone through my workshop and I've asked my participants, and most of them will say it's usually the first thing they'll say is McDonald's drive-through. Okay, so McDonald's drive-through among I think the most popular fast food chain yang introduced. Right. Yeah, I'm not sure whether they are the first, but they definitely most popular lah. You have
among the pioneers, I would say. Yes.
Pioneers, drive-through. So that is what inspired organizations or companies to introduce also a drive-through method to pay bills, to bayar zakat. So does it mean that it's ciplak? No, I don't call it ciplak. It's more of inspired because it's a new context, in a new context. So when you have something like that, don't feel shy that, oh, I'm doing something but tempat lain dah ada buat. Dia ada buat tapi dia untuk kegunaan lain, for a new different purpose. You are getting inspiration to do in something that is a new context . Okay, so I think I better stop there. But I took note of some of the things that was mentioned in the first thing, and I just want to mention here that I agree. We have to from time to time we have to do things. I call it resetting actually. Doing things uncomfortable, macam Cik Muizz mentioned tadi. I like to always encourage when I do workshop. I encourage people to participate to take different routes. Bila kita pergi ke kerja ataupun for students, you go to your college, ke university dan sebagainya. Let's say wherever that you travel, you always go to the same route, right? From time to time, change a different route, explore, be adventurous. Because satu is the act of opening up your mind, and for all you know, maybe you might come across some new tempat yang happening yang baru, new happening place, orang jual burger yang baru ke, new, so you open up your eyes. So take different routes. Essentially it's about getting out of your comfort zone, and that is why I personally have a mantra that I kind of always sign off in my email ke dan sebagainya. It's a mantra. It's 3 words essentially. It's reset, innovate, repeat. So meaning to say reset is from time to time we have to do, because we may get comfortable. Even for me as a person who talks a lot about creativity, innovation, I can tell you there are many examples of situations where I feel like, I got stuck in the old way, got too comfortable, and I forgot that there is another way. So resetting is basically just looking at things differently. Sometimes you just make a comparison dengan tempat orang lain ke or something like that. Say, how do other people do this? So when you open up, then you say, yeah, betul, actually there's another way of doing things. So it's more like opening up, getting out of the comfort zone, being more observant. So that's the part of the reset. Innovate obviously is to then innovate, to come out with something new, to do something new, and then repeat. Benda tu is a thing that you have to repeat. And I know the year that I developed this idea, this sort of mantra was since 2013, because it was also again inspired by a song. I was listening to this song, and I think the song ni pun I tadi baru Google because I dah lupa tajuk lagu tu. So it's actually this is more like macam rave song, lagu-lagu yang all this nak kata disco. People don't talk about disco nowadays, but essentially the title of that song is something like eat, sleep, rave, repeat. Eat, sleep, rave, repeat. Dia ulang. So that kind of gave me inspiration. I kena buat satu mantra myself. So that's why I have the reset, innovate, repeat. Again, it's an idea, but I was inspired. Normally we will be inspired by other things, and that will be something that I will touch on juga in my next slot. And another thing for the VIPs to Google or to look for YouTube is talk by Sir Ken Robinson. Sir Ken Robinson ni dia talk about as what Encik Muizz mentioned tadi, about the education, kita punya education system, we have the kind of picked up uncreative behaviors essentially. We have always been creative dari kecil, tapi over the years we have picked up. So when we recognize these things, let them do something about it. So I think that's all from me from now, and I hand over back to Encik Farhan.
Thanks a lot from our distinguished panels. Second panel, Tuan Hussein bin Datuk Muhammad Arif, is a very full of insight. Actually, this is like a breaking the ice session. The second panel, after Mr. Muizz explained what is creativity, so Tuan Hussein break the ice, because we want the VIPs to separate the creativity and marketing. Marketing is another issue. Just like what have been mentioned by the Tuan Hussein Arif, marketing is another issue. It's a plan, it's an action. But creativity is another issue on how you execute, on how you create something new. And then I like this sentence by Tuan Hussein Arif, which is, it's not a copy or plagiarism. It is an inspiration. We are inspired from something. We cannot create something new without inspired from something. So that is the reason why VIPs shouldn't shy. You shouldn't feel shy at all. If you refer to something, it is your references. So don't feel shy. Don't think that this is a copy or plagiarism. Just think this is as an inspiration to create something new, but then don't take it 100% lah. So if you take it 100%, that we call as plagiarism. Okay, so I would like to pass the Q&A session, a very short Q&A session to the VIPs. Do you guys have any question regarding the content from our distinguished panels, Muizz Salleh and Tuan Hussein Arif? Do you guys have any question? Okay, I will give a very short picture, a very clear picture, to clear the picture, to break the ice to the VIPs, because I believe that they cannot distinguish what is the function of creativity in their own project. So I would like to ask a question to maybe one of the panels could answer this question. Okay, what is the relationships between creativity and marketing, and how does it going to affect between these each other? Who's going to answer? Maybe Mr. Muizz Salleh or maybe Tuan Hussein Arif? Mr. Muizz Salleh?
Thank you, Mr. Farhan. Can you repeat the question? What is the relationships between creativity and marketing, so that we can give a clear picture to the VIPs, and how does it going to affect each other? It's a great, it's a good question. Creativity and marketing. Okay, based on my experience, I'm working right now with all the process of digital marketing. So as IPT, and right now we have pandemic, and we have MCOs and everything. So we need to think very fast, creatively, to approach to our potential students. Okay, so at that time we need to think creatively, work very hard, and then work in team to give understanding, give new knowledge about digital marketing to our team. So digital marketing is not easy to understand. There's a lot of term, a lot of things you need to learn, and it change every single time. Okay, and you need to pick whatever that you can catch right away and execute it, and wait for result. It's just like experiment. You do some experiment test.
Oh, I like this sentence.
Okay,
it's like an experiment.
You know it. We try to use a lot of platform, using Fairways, using FB ads, and we talk about FB ads. A lot of algorithm change every single month. Okay, and in that case, you need to always upgrade your knowledge, and with that knowledge, you can be more creative, and you can inspire others in your team. And of course, in my team right now, there's a different gap of knowledge in terms of marketing, because the older, if I can say, the older team, is more convenience with traditional way. Okay, open a booth and something like that. Okay, approach to the schools. So right now we need to communicate in a new platform using virtual open day event. Okay, and then to create new content every single week, because new content is your new way of marketing right now. So I think is the relation between marketing and creativity with what I'm doing right now is very close, and I need to upgrade myself and try to grow my team as much as possible to move towards our digital movement. Okay, because this is a new era, this is new situation. We can't predict this kind of things happen, but it's happening right now, and we need to go through with it. Okay, I think that's based on my experience. I think that's my answer for your question, Mr. Farhan. Back to you.
Oh, it's definitely answering my question actually. It is definitely answering the question. So, Nazarif, would you like to answer the question? What is the relationship between creativity and marketing, and how does it going to affect between these two sides? Is it like a flip coin, or is it like one side only?
Okay, interesting. Normally I don't like to be too bogged down with definitions. I'll tell you later about an example that I had. But essentially, if you're talking about creativity and marketing, I think when I touch on about you can come up with the best idea, but yes, marketing is a totally different ballgame. So that's why you have people like Wozniak and Steve Jobs. I think if you go through the biography story about Apple dan sebagainya, you will find that I think the marketing guy is Steve Jobs. He's the marketing guy, and Wozniak was more the technical guy, the technical know-how. But of course, a marketing guy by tak tahu pasal technical pun, I don't think can work. So Steve Jobs knows his stuff, but he knows how to market it. So yes, that's why sometimes it's good to have two different teams. Yeah, you may have the team that comes out with the innovation, but you will have another team that does the marketing. And of course there is creativity in the marketing itself, not creativity in innovation. Innovation is already done. You already come out with innovation, but now the marketing part, you got to be creative about it. You got to be creative. You got to find new ways. You got to find the existing tools that are available now. Those that are maybe low cost.
That's like what Mr. Muizz did.
That's right. Just like what you did. And I must say now, from a person who is now I'm 51 years old, from my observation, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think when Instagram started, this is where somehow meletup lah. All these different businesses coming up, whether it's home-based business ke online business, it really meletup lah. Memang I think has really helped small business people, individuals to actually be able to market their product, their services and all that. Whether ada benda yang merapu ke apa semua tu, itu we have to accept lah. Dah memang senang, easy to enter the market, so you will find a lot of benda-benda yang not so good. So in the end, it all comes back to testimonial, from people who use it. But definitely there is a need to be creative in the marketing itself. So yes, creativity in coming out with innovation, but creativity in marketing ni is a totally different game. And usually, like from my observation, usually it's a different person who does it. Very seldom you find a person who's the inventor and dia pun boleh market. Ada, I'm not saying tak ada, tapi I think there are quite a number of examples of people how they separate the two. Perhaps our Mr. KFC tu, he was the innovator, but he also had to market lah kot kan. Kita baca sikit about his story that itu umur 80 tahun he was going around to sell his recipe dan sebagainya. So he had to sell it himself. So not to say there are now no innovators that can sell their innovation, but usually, from what I've seen,
two different
teams
that does the different things.
That's right. Yes.
So now our VIPs can see that the perspective of Mr. Muizz Salleh is that creativity and marketing is like an experimentation. So keep doing it. And then we can see the perspective of Tuan Hussein Arif is that there are always two persons that do this task differently. So we can see, but then the similarity of the feedback from these two distinguished panel is that there must be a team to complete this task. Okay, now we do have the question from the VIPs, Mr. Abu Sufyan. But then I would like to hold this question first because we would like to continue the session. The second session, we would like to pass to our distinguished panel. Number one, Mr. Muizz Salleh, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Farhan. Can you see my slide?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
My topic today for this session is to share how to build your creativity muscle, much more like I think like motivational talk, something like that. Okay, so I would like to share some of tips from Prof. Shlomo, and I believe that all of us like to work out. I like to work out. Some of my workout involve weights. Okay, using the weight strengthens my muscle and keeps them in tune. Okay, and the brain is kind of like a muscle. And if you work it out, it gets stronger. If you work it out, it gets more creative. Okay, so I'm going to share some tips about how to build your creativity muscles and how to exercise your brain. And all these tips actually is from Prof. Shlomo, from his book, Cracking the Creativity Code. First one, maybe the most important. All of us see things around us as every day, all the time, that we dislike. Okay, bad service, impolite people, unthoughtful people, things that don't work well, things that are badly designed. We all see this, and it's good to sharpen our vision to see this around you all the time, and look for this place where you can create values, and then think about how could this be improved. Okay, how could this be improved? Now, once in a while, sometimes we need to act on what we see. Maybe not always. If you have a lot of ideas, you can't implement all of them, but you can implement some of them, and you need to implement some of them just to practice using your ideas and making them happen rather than just saying them. Okay, it may be no more than writing a letter, writing an email, calling somebody, bringing something to somebody's attention, but at least some of the time, act. Don't just grab. The second rule is the break the rules. Okay, innovation is breaking the rules, but intelligently. That means you have to learn the rules first, master the rules, and then think to yourself, what if people do the process in different way? And some of these ideas are wild and woolly and maybe weird, but sometimes they really do work, and they really do create value in unexpected ways. So learn the rules, write down the rules, and then break the rules intelligently. 3, change your habits. Okay, get out of your comfort zone, like what I just mentioned and Mr. Hussein mentioned. Choose different path from your house to your working place. Okay, and maybe you can experience a new thing. So we are all creatures of habit. We need to be, because if you had to think about every single thing that we did and choose, that would be pretty tiresome. So we usually do the same thing today that we did yesterday, and that keeps us from having to think too much about their minor decisions. The problem with that is that we can become stuck in our in our habits. So we can become comfortable in the familiar, and we need to become comfortable in being uncomfortable in the unfamiliar. So change your habits, try new things, try to become comfortable with being temporarily uncomfortable. And then when you come to develop new ideas, you may be more welcoming for these new ideas that somehow make you feel a bit uncomfortable. See if that helps you exercise your ideas, your creativity muscles. And next, exercise 4, develop resilience, embrace failure. Creativity is risky because sometimes things you create don't work. Just like what Mr. Hussein said just now, they don't create value. Now we need to become resilient. We need to be able to bounce back from working on ideas sometimes for a long time, sometimes investing our hard-earned savings. We need to bounce back from failures and learn from it, and go on and simply get up and try again and develop your resistance, develop your resilience. Number 5, explore dark corners, experiment everywhere. So the point here is that creativity is not just about inventing gadgets. Creativity is about widening the range of choice in everything, everywhere, all the time, in everything that we do and the way we do it. We create new thing, we create novel thing. It's a good thing. Explore dark corners and try to think about new ways, creative ways to do things in everything that you do, in we do. Starting from brushing your teeth or tying your shoes. You can change the pattern of your the way you're tying your shoes. Okay, to getting dressed, or watch television, try to watch different genre like thriller, okay, something like that. Okay, and then try to listen different kind of music, and or the way you're doing your emails. Experiment, try things, experiment everywhere. Number 6 is learn to focus. Okay, learn to focus. Focus is really important. You need to set yourself a goal and then focus on that goal. A single mindedly learn to implement ideas that you come up with, and focus is very important because creative people sometimes have so many ideas. Okay, we have a lot of ideas, and that sometimes it get distracted. Okay, and sometimes we skip from one to another. Okay, so when you implement an ideas, just focus on that ideas. Use your inner microscope. You need to develop your own inner microscope. Try to zoom in to the problem. Okay, and then zoom out. You need also to create your own telescope. Okay, to try to gather all information out there and try implement it with a great persistence and focus. Okay, next, grow your persistence. There are many stories in the world of startups that are launched. They have a great ideas and they're on verge of breakthrough and great success, but they run out of money. Okay, that was what once happened with our team, with our company. Okay, people get tired, people despair. It's very easy to despair when you're trying to implement a radical innovation. Okay, so you need to grow your persistence, develop ways of simply sticking to something and seeing it through to the end, achieve your goal. This is very important part of changing the world. Okay, because if you have truly creative ideas, you will encounter major resistance, as people will be uncomfortable with radical new things, and sometimes you have to be rather stubborn or really stubborn to see it through. So practice your persistence. Make sure that you do what you say you are going to do in small things, and then you'll be better able to do it in the large things. Okay, and then hear, listen, and teach. The 8 creative exercise. Observe what people need. Like for example, if Saint Laurent was a designer and founder for luxury fashion house, if you know the logo is YSL, okay, he changed the world with his designs, and he got his idea from walking the street. He observed people, and he broke the rules. For example, his job as a dressmaker, he once told the New York Times to make clothes that reflect the times. He convinced women want to wear pants, and he invented the pantsuit. Until he came along, pants were not fashion item for women, and after that, they were very comfortable for women, especially working women. So you need to hear, listen, and teach. Observe what people need, and nobody will came to him and said, we want to wear pants, but made them beautiful and they become successful. Okay, number 9, individualize. It's always personal. This is a really important lesson about creativity. If you want to do market research, I can tell you one of the best place to begin is inside yourself. Ask yourself if there anything or something that you need, that you would like to have it. It doesn't exist because many other people are like us, maybe like us. They need that kind of thing, but that service or that product doesn't exist. So chances are others would want the same thing. So begin with your own need, your own self, and make it personal. And when you start with your own personal needs, I think you will put your passion into it. And I would like to have it, and you think that you really like to have that, and you try to make it happen, and then share it with others. And finally, the last message, or rather the strange one, become who you are. We began this session with saying you need to look inside yourself. What are your passion? Begin with why. Okay, so begin with why. Ask yourself those. Maybe you can start with those 8 power questions from Da Vinci I just shared just now. Become who you are. Join yourself, explore your passion, and use your creativity. Exercise your creativity to explore and express who you are, your passions, your desire to change the world and to help others people. I believe this is exercise and attitude that you need to have as a person who want to grow your creativity, because creativity is not born with you. You need to earn it, you need to work for it. Okay, so I believe that's ends of my presentation for today. Thank you for still being with us. Wallahu alam. Back to you, Mr. Farhan. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Muizz Salleh. So I hope the VIPs can start feel the motivations coming from Mr. Muizz Salleh. And then we would like to continue the session to Tuan Hussein Arif so that we can do a Q&A session. We tried our best to answer the Q&A session from the VIPs. Tuan Hussein Arif, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Let me see. My slide is not moving. Let me try again. Let me share. Ada soalan ke? Okay. Where did I stop? Tadi there was a question in the chat box. What is the difference between creativity and innovation?
Yep.
While I'm looking for getting my slide done. Basically, actually, it was touched on in my first slot. The first slot, basically, I mentioned about what is creativity and innovation from our point of view, whereby creativity is essentially a process of generating ideas And in this case, new ideas, generating new ideas when you want to solve a problem or you want to introduce something new. Yeah, so generating new ideas. Innovation is essentially when you've implemented it or you've actually come out with it. Yeah, when you actually can see the thing, whether it being an actual physical product or actually, let's say you wanted to do some kind of apps, a new business model, so you try it out. You get it out there. So when you actually see it being implemented, that's how we look at, as far as the market is concerned, that's how we look at innovation. So I'll continue with my slot, which is, I mentioned earlier, we talked about generating ideas and creative ideas. So quite a number, some people may find, hey, I got no problem getting ideas. I just do temenung sekejap pun dapat a lot of ideas. But there are quite a number of us also who maybe find it difficult to get new ideas, as the statistics has shown by Encik Farhan earlier on when you introduced about the topic. And you mentioned about how 75% of adults are no longer not creative lah.
They are thinking that they are not living up to their creativity.
Yeah, they're not living up to their creativity. So there are quite a number of us who are macam tu lah, dia jam macam mana nak fikir new idea ni. So you need something. Just like if you are basically you have problem with your car, you have problem with your plumbing in the house dan sebagainya. You need tools. Yeah, you need tools to make it easier for you to repair your car, change the tire, repair the plumbing work and sebagainya. So you need tools. So I look at it as also creativity tools when you want to generate ideas. And just like this picture here, like a toolbox, you have many tools inside. Not necessarily you have to use all, but you just use whichever is you think that helps you with the current need that you have. And the box itself is also a tool. The toolbox itself, if I didn't have a toolbox like that to carry all the different tools inside it, that will also be very difficult. I have to put it in my pocket, carry it in my hands and sebagainya. So that would be difficult. So the box itself also, I look at it as a tools. And if I want to link that to creativity, I would say the tool, the box is your attitude lah. The mind must be able to be open-minded. You have to be open-minded to new ideas. You have to be open-minded to listening, because sometimes your ideas are developed over a discussion with a group. Not just by yourself, but in a group when you're brainstorming dan sebagainya. So you need to have the right attitude to encourage ideas to come out. Yes, it can sound crazy and risky, as Encik Muizz mentioned, but sometimes you must be willing to at least encourage the ideas to come out, because when you decide which idea to choose or to use, you will go through that process of analysis lah. You will do a kind of a like pro and con kind of thing. Okay, this idea is great, tapi we don't have the budget for it, so let's put that on hold dulu. Let's implement this idea. Looks like it can be implemented easily. So things like that. So that discussion will come later, but the initial one, let it flow. Also, I would say this box ni is I picture it as thinking outside the box ni lah. That concept of thinking outside the box. So there are many exercises around thinking outside the box, which I'm sure Encik Muizz has done with his students juga. There is the typical 9 dot punya thing where you draw lines to connect the 9 dots dan sebagainya. So a lot of that. So I won't be covering that, but basically I'm looking at the box itself is also a tool. So it's in the mind, the attitude behind it. So now what are the tools? So I only have time to share just the two tools that I normally use in my workshops. And the first one essentially is it's a form of a formula. It's called Scamper, not to be mistaken with scammer. It's not scammer, Scamper. Okay, ada P kat dalam tu. Alright. So it's a formula. And basically what it means is essentially, even though I call this one tool, tapi it's actually 7 in 1, because you don't really have to use all 7 to satisfy, to say, okay, now I've come up with an idea using all Scamper form. It's just any of the one pun boleh. Any of these 7 words that you have are able to help you in generating new ideas. So the first one being substitute. So what do I substitute? So if you see a current situation, it has some problem or maybe not efficient, okay? So you ask yourself, okay, how do I substitute this? What can I substitute this thing with what? And there are many examples which I'm not sure whether I have time to go into everyone, but basically substitute, you've got combine. Okay, so tadi I mentioned earlier on about combine. Combine is also quite a natural thing. You don't have this tool. If I didn't mention to you scamper, but most probably you would think of, oh, I nak combine lah. My idea ni is a combination of this and that. It's quite natural that we think of combine because we are exposed to a lot of things related to combine. Like Nescafe 3-in-1, shampoo 2-in-1, 3-in-1, kan macam-macam. That's basically combine lah. Air
It's my favorite.
Nescafe your favorite. And then of course you got kopi jenis like 7-in-1, I don't know, kopi apa jenis macam-macam. Selagi boleh combine lah kan. Essentially is to give that impression that there's a lot of value lah. That's why you kena bayar mahal sebab banyak tu 7-in-1 punya kopi. So combine is quite a natural thing, but it's part of the scamper punya. So the others are adopt, or I would say I call it also adapt. This is the part where I talk about the observation. You observe. If you are not observant, very difficult for you to be able to make use of this. Adopt and adapt. And then there is the maximize and minimize, meaning you perbanyakkan, perkecilkan, minimize it, compress it, compact it. So these are words that actually to assist you in whenever you're faced with a situation. Okay, where am I going to get my ideas from? So maybe look at this camper. Look at this formula and say, okay, maximize. What does it mean by maximize? Okay, to maximize the usage, maximize whatever. If I can give an example now offhand that I can remember, because some people say, hey, whenever bila you not maximize something, normally you want to compress things, make it more like easy to take care of you. One example that I can think of is there was one time when before we had smartphone, we had all these organizer, smart organizers ni. Just like macam BlackBerry. So on the phone itself or the device, you have keyboard kecil keyboard ni you have to type in, macam typewriter macam keyboard lah, but it's very small. And then this company yang come out with all these organizers, they came out with another gadget, and that was a keyboard, but a big keyboard, tapi it was folded. It was folded, boleh lipat, and it was small. Tapi when you buka, dia jadi besar, and then you attach it. Adalah dia punya cara nak attach, and then you actually can really key in lah. So that I would say is an example where something that people might not think maximize is something good, but actually yes, in that case, I made a keyboard that is small, tapi it can be expanded, maximized. Maybe not the best example, but that is something that
that is a good example.
Okay, tapi banyak lah maximize. If I say like a buffet concept is like maximizing. You're maximizing people boleh makan banyak lah. But there are benefits behind it because you masak banyak-banyak and then you letak all the menu, all the dishes. So that's like maximizing. Rather than order a la carte, you can order one dish, makan one. So you maximize. So you have the whole buffet line. So that also can be an example. So I'm just saying these are words that are there to try to generate, to kickstart some ideas. And then there is also the 5, put to other use. Example of put to other use is actually more of putting something to other use. It could be something that you already have and a new idea, but you want to maximize the usage of this innovation. So you ask yourself, okay, what else can I put this? What put to other use? So that will increase the value of your innovation or your idea by thinking of this word lah. Put to other use. What other use can I put it? And then there is the number 6, eliminate, where you eliminate some a particular element, or a process. Maybe we have a process, 5-step process. So you tell us, okay, scamper kata we must try to eliminate. Ada tak benda yang kita boleh eliminate? Sometimes kita fikir tak ada, tapi we just, because it's a creative process, we just eliminate one of the process, and then that's when the challenge comes in. Okay, eliminate part tu macam mana? Then some ideas will come. Okay. And the other challenging one is reverse. You reverse totally the whole process, and then that will help to trigger some ideas. Let me see if I have some examples. Okay, these are just another way of looking at the words, the formula. It was developed by this gentleman, a history of the scamper formula ni, Robert Abel. Okay, in this book. Okay, developed by Bob Abel and also written by a well-known creativity expert, Michael Michalko. So bayangkan, this one whole book talks about a lot of other creative tools. One of it is scamper. So you can imagine, if you get this book, Tinker Toys, then you can get more tools to generate ideas. Okay, so here is just a simple example of what I mean by the substitute and sampai ke reverse. So for the photograph, for the camera, from the dalam konteks camera, dulu kita ada cameraman. The cameraman has to press the button to take the picture. But now we have substitute. Technology and all that has substitute that action, substitute by other things, which is the timer. Okay, and then of course now there's so many. Yeah, you smile aja, the camera can capture that. Yeah, at the sensor. Dia ambil gambar. So substitute. Yeah. So you substitute that. Before, it used to be the person who takes the picture must press the button. So that's one of the example of substitute lah. Even ATM machine, I would say, is a substitute. You substitute with a bank teller. Yeah. Now it's substitute by a machine, which is the ATM machine. Okay, combine, there are many ways. You can look at the way we combine. Adopt sound and motion equals video. So meaning the camera before, especially the digital camera, it used to be just still photo. And then, and then there was the video camera also existed. These two things existed separately. And what happened is the camera has adopted from the video camera punya function. Adopt in order to be able to also function as a video. Yeah, video camera. But earlier on, kalau those who remember the earlier stage masa the digital camera, you can only record for just a few seconds. Now everything is mixed up. In a way, you can say everything is combined and becomes smartphone. And then you have maximize, minimize. So of course, pocket camera. Yeah, that camera dulu used to be quite bulky, and then you got the camera, which is pocket camera, compact camera. Put to other use. So in the context of a camera, the camera punya function has been put to other use, being put into a phone. Yeah, a phone used to be just a phone, but from the perspective of a camera, it is now being put to other use. Or kalau I tengok, if I used to use example of a phone, the phone has adopted the camera in a way. All right, but essentially it is just words to trigger ideas, and then eliminate the example. Classic example would be films. Dulu ada film, yeah, where you cuci gambar. Now dah tak ada cuci gambar, so you just basically either you just upload ke dan sebagainya. Yeah? So you eliminate the need for films. And then of course reverse. Reverse is also quite an interesting exercise if you were to really try to menghayati this reverse process ni. And if I use the camera as an example, dulu it used to be you ambil gambar, you take pictures, and then you had to print out, yeah, 24 ke 36 pictures, cuci gambar and print it out, and then you choose which picture yang cantik, yang tak ada blur, and then which one you nak buat make extra copies kan. But now with digital camera, you actually take pictures and then you boleh choose. You choose and then which one you want to print. Yeah, that is if you still want to print lah. Now print pun jarang orang buat. Tapi essentially if you look at those two process, dia dah jadi terbalik. Yeah? You basically reverse or rearrange. Some may call it rearrange lah. Yeah? So rearranging a process may trigger some new ideas. So yeah, let me give some more example of combine. I just take the ones that I have got examples here. Project that I was involved in myself, rat trap, yeah, which combines with tong sampah. So this is my own personal involvement in a project with the Majlis Perbadanan Kuantan. Okay, it is called the Transit Killer Rat, TKR. So essentially, it's a combination of a rat trap, yeah, perangkap tikus, masuk dalam tong sampah, and it becomes a transit killer, a new product, yeah, essentially. And this one was we went to Geneva and got an award. I think it's gold. That's right, yeah. And then yeah, okay. And then this was the signing ceremony to help to commercialize this particular innovation between myself and the Majlis Perbadanan Kuantan at that time lah. Okay. Now adopt ataupun /adapt. I like to use the word adapt. Also, an example would be I mentioned tadi about the drive-through kan, that one's already done. So another example is this roller, yeah, deodorant punya roller, yeah. Where was it? Where did it get the inspiration? This one. Macam quiz pula soalan ni, tapi kita tak nampak.
I've never used it, so I don't know.
You know, no use it, okay? Because there are many ways to apply deodorant. Obviously, there is the spray, there is the stick, yeah, and there is this. I'm not sure whether there's another fourth way of of applying deodorant, but essentially yang kita tahu is this lah, the spray type, stick. So each one has its own benefits and maybe challenges juga. Personal choice. People have personal choice what they want. Some may not be able to use the spray type because they pedih ke dan sebagainya. So some like the roller. But just a story about how this one got inspired is essentially it just got inspired by this. Same concept. The delivery of a liquid, to a ball bearing lah kalau macam pen tu, ballpoint pen essentially is delivering ink. Only the amount that you want, kan? You tulis tu keluar. So the deodorant roller ni was inspired by this. And pen dah ada lah, lama dah, berapa ratus tahun rasa dah ada. Tapi this roller ni came much later on. So it was inspired. So when you're observant, so the story behind this is the person who kind of invented the roller ni, dia tengok lah kawan dia tengah menulis kan. Padahal dia pun menulis, tapi somehow dia tengok online tengah menulis, baru suddenly that light bulb moment comes. So, and especially when maybe I'm sure the inventor was given a challenge juga. He said, okay, because he worked for a company, so he was given a challenge. Okay, let's come up with this another way. Customers are complaining the stick near type ni maybe dia patah ke, maybe not so comfortable, the spray type. So we want to have another third type. So this is how it came about. Okay, for as far as a project that I was involved with myself personally is I have this project which I call it POPs, press on power socket. Now it's still not in the market, but we've already basically patented it lah. It's basically still going through macam testing. There are some challenges. I can tell you. That's why I say sometimes when you want to commercialize something from just an idea, where you proof of concept, not commercialize, you have to think of mass production. How is it going to be produced in a factory? So the challenge we have for this one is press on power socket. Essentially, it's like macam you mean extension wire, extension cord, yang ada multiple plug. But this one, kalau you tengok tak ada butang switch. Because why? We have adopted the idea inspired by what? One. Essentially, this is one of the observation that we made. Tekan dengan kaki, tak payah nak bungkuk ke bawah, nak tutup on and off the button. This is like lampu yang you will see the hotels usually you will see this, where you don't really have to bend down. You actually just press with your leg. So in a way, it was inspired by that juga. So that's how this idea came about, to press just using your leg essentially. Because if you have your plug there, so you have to bend down. There are other benefits from it also lah. Actually, the other reason behind it is basically to make sure that there's no contact. So when you press off, there's no physical contact. Because some plugs, if we leave it plugged in, kalau hujan, lebat, kilat, there could be a surge, and then maybe it can destroy your device. But by pressing off, you just tekan off, it will be detached. So those are some of the benefits from it. So you don't really have to pull out the plug, but you just press and then it comes out. But like, as I mentioned, there are some challenges because when you have a product like this, an idea like this, especially if physical in nature, dia punya mechanism kat dalam banyak, small mechanism, you may be able to come up with a proof of concept that works, 3D printing dan sebagainya. But when you want to mass produce it, even in 3D printing, I discovered myself in this project is that even though with the CAD drawings, the digital drawings, you pindah ke machine lain, they are the tolerance. You won't get exactly the same, especially when that's my alarm. Especially when you have something that it requires a very minute, detail to precision to. I tell you, so that was our challenge to produce exactly the same as our number one unit. Number one tu was cantik, perfect. Tapi bila kita buat kat machine lain, mass produce, dia tak jadi, dia somehow tak consistent. So this is part of our challenges lah. And of course there is a need for more funding to do all that. But it was an interesting project, interesting experience lah, and it's still basically ongoing lah. So again, this is an example of adopt and adapt lah. We adopt from this. Okay, this is some notes about adopt. Okay. Now my second tool, if I have a bit of short time, that I have just to share another way to generate new and wild ideas, especially crazy ideas yang tak terfikir, is this tool that I call force connection. If I translate tu dipanggil hubungan dipaksa, bunyi macam gerun pula.
Hubungan paksaan.
Hubungan paksaan. Okay, so force connection. Some may, if you were to Google, you read up, you will come across another tool which is similar. I think they call it random words. Random words. It's something similar to that juga. So you force connect things that are not related to each other. Essentially, what the force connection means is actually linking two things or two concepts which in the first place do not seem to be connected. They don't seem to be connected, tapi you kind of force connect and you will like, boom, come up with some crazy ideas. Tapi kena ada cara untuk nak mengupas. Okay. Creativity is also, just ambil petikan this about what is creativity. So from this lady who is the choreographer for tak silap I is for Paula Abdul choreographer, or was it Janet Jackson? Adalah. So basically this is what she says. Creativity is more about taking the facts, fictions and feelings that we store away and finding new ways to connect them. And I find this very true for force connection, especially when I do my workshops. Every one of us individually has different experience in life, different feelings and all that. So when we have that different element too, you will come out some unique and different kind of ideas, especially through this exercise of force connection, which I will touch on a little bit just to show an example. Again, creativity is the juxtaposition of ideas which were previously thought to be unrelated. It is the ability to connect ideas in a unique way and or to make useful association among ideas. I think even Steve Jobs talks about connecting. Creativity is about connecting the dots. The dots. And the dots here, I think in Steve Jobs' mirror, what he means is that, when he part of being observant, you're observant to see what is the technology available now. So that's like one dot. What is the trend now? That's one dot. What is the need of people? So when you have all these dots, you connect it in a unique way. That is also part of creativity lah. This is the latihan that I do in my workshop. I'm trying to see whether I can do this, explain this exercise that I normally do to make people understand. Because if I just leave it as that, people say, so what do you mean? Force connect macam mana? So normally I do like this. You can do it in like a pasangan. You find two people. Say one person is A, one person is B. So first you have to have the object. What is the thing that you want to innovate? And that object must remain the same basically lah. And then you have the action or any other words that will be randomly picked. Okay, so let me see. So okay, when I did this, one of these example of this workshop I did, I said, okay, we want to innovate shoes, kasut. We want to come up with new shoes, totally different type of shoes than what is available now in the market lah. Okay, so the object is the shoes, and then I told them to, okay, especially when this thing is pasangan, sometimes the important thing is the object has to be not known by the other person. So when I say example tadi A and B, the person A will think of an object, the person will think of another of the action, katakan, aksi, but they must think independently. They don't talk about it. They independently, they just write on a piece of paper. Okay, katakan the person A dia kata, okay, I want to innovate shoes. So dia tulis kat kertas kasut. I nak innovate. This is part of an exercise lah. Kasut. The person B pula will think of an action. So, okay, what action do I want? Action ni macam-macam lah aksi, perbuatan. Berlari ke, makan ke, tidur ke dan sebagainya. Now, so when they do this independently and then they show this piece of paper, okay, what did you write? I tulis makan. I tulis kasut. And then the other person kata, I makan. Masa tu the bengkel yang I buat tu sebelum lunch time lah, kot dia tengah lapar kan, dia fikir pasal makan. So these are totally two different things that have got no relation. Would you agree? Tak ada kan? Kasut and makan. Tak ada. Not related lah, not from our, kalau kita tengok fikir-fikir, tak ada kaitan. Okay, so this is good. But if you were to have a person who does, katakan the exercise ni, A ni dia tulis kasut, and then B ni nampak perkataan tu, kasut. It might influence him to think of an action which is very closely related. You might think, berjalan. That's too closely related. That kind of exercise, it won't work. it has to be something totally opposite, totally unrelated. That will help. So that's why normally in this exercise, I will tell them to do it, write independently lah. Yeah? Seorang tu tulis something, aksi, seorang lagi tulis object. Okay, but the idea is actually, what is the purpose? The idea is to get something that is totally unrelated, and then that's when we get them to start
connecting.
Yes, because if the person were to see and then tulis lari ke jalan, nak fikir kasut connect dengan campur dengan aksi berjalan, lama dia akan influence, because jalan ni memang dah ada kasut pakai untuk jalan, untuk lari dan sebagainya. Tapi kalau makan, that is something very uncomfortable kan, this one makan. Okay. Okay, so what happened with this exercise? Kasut sukan, makan. So what happened is, okay, this is the other thing, the funny experience that I had with this is, this particular pasangan, when I was doing this bengkel, they kind of got the wrong concept, because I told them, so where does the innovation happen? You want to innovate the kasut, the object lah. The object is the one that you want to innovate. Makan is the component or the element that you want to incorporate into the kasut to make it innovative, to make it unique and different. That was the purpose lah. But in the first round, because benda ni I sometimes buat dua round because some people get it wrong. So in this particular instance, when they got the wrong understanding of what they want to do, what they did was, the idea they came up with, cake. Okay, cake yang bentuk kasut, ada kasut. Okay, it's a cake tapi ada kasut. So inilah maksud saya dengan kasut dengan makan. So I buat inovasi dalam segi cake. So of course in terms of creativity, kita kata okay lah, something interesting, unique dan sebagainya. Tapi to really understand the exercise, this is the misunderstanding part. So
I can see that this couple really likes to eat.
Could be they really like to eat. So the thing is, I told them to go back and try again, because I told them the kasut must still remain as a kasut. If you are working in Nike, so I gave them illustration. Kalau you kerja kat Nike, tiba-tiba the boss, Philip Knight, kata, okay, think of a new shoes. Suddenly you come up with a cake macam ni, cake yang ada tulis Nike. I rasa you dah kena tenang keluar kan. Dia kata, macam mana? Kita nak jual kasut juga still. So I told them, okay, try. Fikir lagi sekali. Go back and think. Kupaskan. So this is why I say, kupaskan apa maksud anda dengan makan. The kasut still remains kasut. But what do you, what does the word makan? Think when you makan, what comes up to your mind, and then use those things to try and incorporate into the car, into the shoes. So when I buat cara pasangan, it's because the good thing is individually they think of their own idea. Individually, because everyone, as I showed the slide earlier, everyone has their own experience, their own feelings dan sebagainya. And makan may be different to you, Encik Fahan, your meaning, your understanding of makan when you want to kupas, masuk makan. And Encik Muizz, maybe for you, makan is a different thing. And this is, I want to show you an example because this is exactly what happened. So these two people, one came out with this idea. Makan, okay, makan, dia kamban, makan. Okay, so they came out with this idea. Where is it? I ke belakang. I'm getting too excited. Okay. Now, although it's very difficult for me to prove this, but I believe when I did the bengkel, this bengkel was quite a number of years ago, and I didn't know about this existence of these shoes, and I think my participants didn't know about these shoes. So he thought of this idea, and this picture I'm showing you to illustrate what he said. He said, okay, sekarang ni bila saya makan, saya akan rasa perut saya akan besar kan, rasa ketat kan, menggelembung okay, jadi besar. So that's my understanding of ni. So I incorporate that element. Saya nak kasut di mana kalau saya rasa kasut tu macam loose sikit ke for some reason, saya nak bagi benda tu fit lagi cantik, saya akan tekan satu butang kat bawah tu dan dia akan pump angin supaya fit kasut tu untuk kaki saya. Okay, and every time I tell the story, I naik rumah because at that time memang tak ada lagi benda ni. Okay, so he came out and he said, oh, okay, that's good. That's what you mean by makan. Makan, perut jadi ketat, jadi besar. So you ambil elemen tu, masuk pada kasut. So kasut yang ada pump. And few years later, I think then I came across, rupanya ada kasut pump. Okay, right? So that is that exercise of force connection. That is for person number A. Person B pula, dia sendiri pun brainstorming. Kata, okay, makan. Apa maksud saya dengan makan? So for him, makan is something different, which is Dia kata, and I can't show an actual example of a picture because belum ada lagi di pasaran, tapi the nearest I can find to illustrate his idea is this lah. Okay, the nearest that I can illustrate. So basically what he says is this, kasut ni, makan ni adalah aksi makan, makan. So saya anggap macam tengah makan habuk makan habuk kotoran yang ada dekat kapet ni. Jadi saya nak buat kasut ni di mana dia akan, bila saya kasut ni bila saya masuk dalam pejabat, sambil saya jalan, dia sebenarnya akan makan habuk. Dia akan makan kotor-kotor. Okay? So sebab dia ambil makan as that, the actual action of makan. Tapi how do I incorporate into kasut? So that is the challenge because
He or she.
He
or she.
I think there was two
This
guys.
kasut makan habuk, he or she.
Two guys, lelaki.
Two guys.
Yes. Sebab kita nak cari cara yang paling senang kan. Kita kan nak cari jalan senang buat kerja. So dia terfikir benda pasal makan.
Yeah, I was thinking to do the campaign that this shoes will support to do some dieting campaign. But then this guy was thinking kasut makan habuk. So it's
yes, kasut. Because we want to innovate the shoes itself. So in a way, but of course I remember when he was explaining, he said, okay, maybe these shoes ni dia kat bawah tu ada maybe like small little vacuum. Macam vacuum cleaner, vacuum sambil jalan tu dia akan sedut. Of course technologically we're not sure how it can be done, but I'm sure it can be done, whether it can be done cost effectively. But the whole exercise was not that. It's not about benda ni possible or not. It's more of a creative exercise. It's to get people to start thinking, betul lah. If I force connect with benda macam ni, so imagine if I were to replace the word makan with so many other random words. So that's why force connection dengan random words ni similar. So this is the possibility of coming up with wild and crazy ideas. I got so many that I've come across. Tapi memang mind blowing lah. Mind blowing betul idea. Just like people orang kata Spider-Man sekarang ni pun mind blowing. So I'm yet to watch the latest Spider-Man, mind blowing. So force connection ni pun mind blowing. And let me see. So how would you do it if you have a particular situation macam this one? Is more of an exercise. Shoes. I kata okay, shoes, and they happen to use the word shoes. But now, if let's say you have a situation where the object is known, it's already known. So you want to make sure you get totally unrelated punya words, action words and all that. One way of doing it is just macam katakan okay, you have a situation where I want to improve the registration process, registering students or anything lah. So let's say they have that object. So how do I find words that are unrelated? One way is you just take a magazine, book, newspaper dan sebagainya and just tutup mata and just point your finger and dekat mana jari you stop, sentuh apa perkataan, you try to force connect. You force connect those two elements. That's one way of doing. So this one will give you a lot of wild, crazy ideas. This one you can keep doing for a few. Of course, sometimes brainstorming ni dia ada limit. How long can you keep brainstorming? And this has been posed by some people have asked, how long can you do brainstorming? You can't do it for hours lah. Normally brainstorming ni macam 20-30 minutes you brainstorm and then come up with as many ideas as possible. And then after that barulah you start doing your like pro and cons, or you try to combine. Sometimes you combine this idea dengan that idea ni actually can be combined and then it become a better value idea. I think that's it actually. I'm sorry if I rushed my presentation, but I just feel that these are the two ones that I really would like to share. There are many other tools, but these are the ones that I feel that can really help to come up with wild, crazy ideas lah. Okay, that's it from me, Cik Fan, and I hand over to you. And any other questions, please feel free to ask.
Okay, thank you, our distinguished panel, Tuan Hussein Arif. Actually, I do like this kind of force connection. I think I will start to use this because I have a lot of design tasks that I need to complete. And then this scamper formula, actually, I do kind of practice in my daily life, actually, whereby one of the element is put to others to use, whereby I use my DSLR camera as a webcam to serve as a webcam. So I combine, I use one tools, but then make it into two functions. So it can, so we would like to ask the question. We do have a question from the VIPs. Okay, first of all, is that what is the difference between creativity and innovations? Tuan Hussein?
Oh, okay. What's the difference? Yeah, I touched on that a bit, which is creativity is the process of generating new ideas, and innovation is to implement or actually to produce it lah. Whether it's maybe a prototype, proof of concept. Yeah, so you've actually made it possible rather than it's just in your head, just dreaming apa semua, tapi you actually came out and do it. And I can tell you, not many people just keep it in their head. Myself, I got a lot of ideas, tapi I've yet to really get down to do it. But it's good to actually try to choose at least and do something about the ideas that you have lah. So that is innovation. But at the same time, I want to touch here also. I put a note here that definition is yes, it's important to understand subject matter, but I believe definition sometimes, in my own personal opinion, is important for maybe academians, maybe for policy makers and all that. But as an innovator yourself, don't feel bad if you misunderstood. Because to me, let's say if I were to go to an inventor like maybe Robert Young or any famous inventor, I ask them, okay, sir, what do you understand as creativity? Tiba-tiba dia bagi jawapan yang totally different. I cannot say, but you're wrong. I cannot make, hey, he's an inventor, okay? He at least invented something. So even if his explanation or understanding of creativity and innovation is not according to what we understand, it's not for us to judge or to say you're wrong. Yeah, it's in fact, if anything, it's something for us to learn more. Okay, why does he or she say creativity is this and innovation is that? There is a reason behind it. And I guess it's because why I'm saying this, because I want to share with everyone here is that if you were to become and end up becoming a panelist yourself, policymakers and all that, understand in what context when you ask that question. Because I attended one competition for universities, ada one university, and this question was posed by someone from the ministry, Ministry of Science lah, and this question was posed to an inventor. The inventor ni, I mean, it's good enough that they took part in the invention, and they asked, do you consider this an invention or an innovation? Pening pala kawan tu kan, is this an invention or innovation? Dia pun tak tahulah, I pun tak remember apa dia jawab, tapi like, and then the panelists macam tengah tanda essay like to penalize the person for answering wrong. To me,
Penalize.
Penalized just for maybe giving the wrong answer or the answer that does not fit into their understanding of what is invention and innovation. So to me, that's not really important, because we have to celebrate the fact that this person has done something.
Has created something new.
Has created something. So let's not be too bogged down. Let the academians and the policymakers basically decide what they think creativity. But as an inventor yourself, I think as long as you just come up with a new idea and really do it, and jangan jadi apa, as Dr. Rahmat used to always say, jangan jadi inovasi, jangan jadi inovasi. That's
I would like to ask the second question from the VIPs, Mr. Khairi Afiq bin Airil, to Mr. Muizz Salleh actually. So because he's the one who's always experimenting the marketing plan into his plan. And then the question is this, Mr. Muizz Salleh, when the product become commercialized in market, it does costly. What is your opinions? It is costly, meaning that to implement this product or commercialize or plan, but that it costs, the cost of doing this is high. So what is your opinions, Mr. Muizz Salleh?
Okay, I believe Mr. Hussein more expert about this area, but I can maybe Mr. Hussein can add after this. I have an experience with one of my friends who's working with new product, new like what we call it, dia untuk menghapus Aedes, nyamuk Aedes. Okay? They come up with a big machine, and then and in that machine there's a pump, there's a like a bottle you can insert the all the chemical and everything, and the machine will spray the wop or asap lah, something like that, using timer.
The fog.
Okay, when when the professor give it to factory to make it mass product,
production.
it turns out that that big machine can be shrink to a very small like this one. Okay,
Okay.
and you can use solar or something like that. Okay, like what we see like Ambipure or something like that. You can spray perfume.
Just turn on the button and then it will keep spraying to somewhere.
And turn out that there's a different kind of approach because we need to set timer perfect time for bila mosquito tu nak keluar kan. Kita tahu nyamuk Aedes ni dia keluar waktu maghrib, something like that. So we need to position it in a good position place. Okay, and turn out that bila nak buat kecil macam tu daripada mesin yang besar tu, you need to shrink down to the small size. It costs more because of what Mr. Hussein just said just now with the power plug. Okay, so there's a detailed component that you need to invest, and turn out that you need more money to invest on that particular thing, the very sensitive content or machine or mechanism. Okay, and then and the inventor fight with the institution about right and something like that, then somehow that ideas not come to commercialization. Okay, so that's very frustrated. I think that's happened. It's in real life. It's not that easy actually, but it's what Mr. Hussein said is a good experiment. It's a good experience for us to go through the commercialization phase. Okay, because we can see that what's actually happened out there in market. What happened actually when you try to make it reality for your idea, for your projects. I think that's all from me. I hope Mr. Hussein can add more for that.
Hussein, when the cost is higher to commercialize the product, what is your opinion, Hussein?
Okay, of course the simpler way to answer that is if it's more costly than existing solution, then yeah, it's going to be difficult for you to sell lah. Yeah, that's why we have to find a way that when we have an idea to itulah sometimes when we do prototype, we the proof concept is there. We've proved that the concept work, but when we go on to the production part, the manufacturing and mass production, then we realize that oh dear, it's going to cost more to produce, but maybe the end product will be cheaper kan, because the fact that it's small, if you mass produce, you buat satu memang mahal, tapi the fact that you can mass produce it, it's going to be cheaper in the long. So I think it's a question of the investment part lah. I won't say that the thing has failed ke apa semua. It's more the investment, the need for investment in order to make it to realize this particular product. Yeah? Because when it's small, memang it's expensive to produce, but to produce just that one unit. But I believe that the fact that it's mass production, the cost will go down. That's what we see a lot in what we see in real life juga kan. When something baru buat mahal, tapi later on as it's being sold, lagi banyak unit being sold, then they can bring down the cost. So the same way, I remember even for the production for this POPs, I call it POPs, press on power socket POPs project. I remember when we visited the kilang yang kita we were part of our research lah juga to find out, okay, if we end up mass producing dekat kilang-kilang yang buat all this plastik lah, basically inject mold, inject ni plastik ni, they even told us, okay, your mold ni you have to decide how many are you going to sell, because your mold, you want to make sure your mold tu bukanlah satu press mold tu untuk produce satu produk, satu unit. It must be that mold ni press tu, press maybe katakan 20 unit. Okay, that one press tu bila tekan, so mold ni ada banyak lah mold kan, mold tu untuk dia casing ke, so all that pun you have to strategize. You kena somehow project how many you gonna sell, you think, because kalau tidak, if you don't plan this well, tiba-tiba benda tu produk jadi popular, you're not able to meet the demand because you decided to do a mold that was like only enough to produce just one whole set from just that one mold. So there are many, of course, there are many challenges. Not to say it cannot be done, but it can be done. But I would say in most situations is the investment lah. Money is needed to invest further. Okay, but I think the idea that when we come up with something, it's supposed to be better and improve. So by right, it should be better than what's available in the market. Tapi if we found out that it's better but it costs more, then that is the usual thing lah. You have to weigh in the cost.
We have to creatively solve the issue.
Yes, you're not just solving the issue, but not really taking into account that what's the existing solution now. Because if it's cheaper to solve, maybe that's as efficient as your innovation, but your innovation cost 10 times more. But efficiency maybe 2 kali saja. So a person may say, tak apalah, I belilah barang ni. Just that maybe I have to use it a little bit longer to solve the problem. But your thing costs 10 times more, and it's only 2 times faster, katakan. But it costs 10 times more. And when you weigh that option pun macam tak kena. So this is part of strategy juga. When you come out with an innovation, you must really know that is it something that's required in the market. In fact, my example with the transicular rat pun, the challenge was more of the what's next punya, the proof of concept, the concept of a tong sampah with a rat trap at the bottom, that proved to work. Boleh. Tapi we come across the problem is when we start thinking of the whole ecosystem. So sometimes innovation pun not only costing, but you have to not only the costing, but you have to think of the ecosystem of what happens next. And in this example, if I can just explain a bit, tong sampah ni, we realized later on that although it sort of solved that problem because they had a problem with rats. Selalu ada dekat tong sampah kan. So they say, so of course lah, the municipality ada macam-macam cara untuk nak tangkap. So they thought that, hey, why do we combine so that at least tikus dah memang ada dekat area tong sampah. So why not kita perangkap dia? Okay, that by itself, was a good concept, idea. So we developed that. But when we went to deal with the other stakeholders in this whole process of nak collect sampah ni, then we come across problem. Okay, one example would be the alam flora, which is the
who's going to take out the rats? That is one of the major question.
True. One is who to take out. But even that also I managed to solve. I said, okay, don't worry. The majlis people will come and collect. They will come before you come. They will come and collect all the tikus, katakan. Okay, I can solve that. But here's the problem, and that was the difficult one to solve, which is, yes, you may have the tikus mungkin dah keluar, tapi my workers ni, alam flora ni, dia ada jentera dia untuk angkat sampah kan. When they angkat, how am I assured that there is no najis from the tikus to might splash on my workers? Safety concern. So that was a major headache juga for us to convince them that okay, benda ni tak mengganggu the whole process and bukan bahaya pada pekerja. So that I would say is one of the stumbling blocks that we had. And when you see a project, yes, it's good. Tapi you have to put it in context of the whole flow, the whole chain tu, then you will really know, whether the thing can work. But I'm not saying that it cannot work. It's just that then you have to solve another problem. Another problem you got to try and solve. Yeah, so that's why the Muizz bagi tahu pasal Encik Muizz sebut pasal persistence. Yes, persistent too. So sometimes innovation projects, innovation products and all that. I think there is a quotation say something like, "Is 1% idea, 99% perspiration." Maknanya you make effort to experimental perspiration. You mean peluh tu, you nak cuba. That's the 99% of it. 1% is just the idea tu. The other one is to try and be persistent and carry on and find a way to get it there in the market. Don't give up.
Answer the question. Now we have the last question, and I do kind of like this question. So this question is about creativity. Come from Mr. Abu Sufyan, the VIPs. He's asking, do you think creativity comes with times and thought, or you are born with creative talent, or we call as innate talent of creativity? So who's going to answer? This is a very interesting question. Is it comes with the effort, or is it comes with the innate talent of the creativity? So Mr. Muizz Salleh, Tuan Hussein.
Okay.
I believe I already answered this question before in my presentation, because we can teach our children to think creatively, to be creative, because it's not born with us. It's not in our gene. It's not fixed by our by your genes. Okay, and according what I just shared just now, we can do some exercise. Okay, what just Mr. Hussein and team doing?
The formula.
Yeah, go to university, go to school, and even right now, what we are doing right now is actually to bring out your creativity. Okay, so I have one example of one of my close friend. He actually he's a lecturer. When he studies, he loved drawing. He loved reading comic. Okay, reading comic, especially DC and Marvel comic. And he at that time has no like his own stroke. Tak ada stroke sendiri lah, maknanya tiru-tiru kan.
He doesn't have his own identity.
Yeah, he start with copy and learn and observe comic that he read. Comic yang dia baca tu dia tiru stroke tu every single day, and he can come up with a number of books, drawing books. Okay, every morning dia akan bangun drawing, a lot of characters, and turn out sampai sekarang, okay, one of illustration that he come up with is quite similar and cannot be compared with local cartoonists. Saya tak boleh nak banding, ini macam Marvel punya stroke punya style kan. So and then he tried to combine it with local content. It turned out very good. Okay, so ada stroke yang look international, and you can add your content. Is the proof that show you that creativity can be exercised. Okay, you can exercise to develop your own creativity.
Can be achieved through effort.
Yeah, through effort and persistence, of course.
Yeah.
I think that's all from me.
Tuan Hussein, what is your opinion on this question?
Okay, yeah, I quite like that. I usually come across this kind of discussion. So it's yeah, you're right. This thing must be, yes, there are people who are born, just like people, this is macam talent, I talk about talent. There are people who are born with the talent to draw. They draw, you bagilah macam mana pun, they will be able to draw nicely. But does it mean that people who are not born with that talent cannot learn to become artists and all that? They can learn. So there are ways to learn. So that's why that's why we have this topic, and that's why like Muizz has his module, and like myself, we talk about, okay, now that you identify yourself as someone maybe a bit challenged, a bit susah nak dapat idea. So these are some of the tools that you can, but you must be willingness lah. The willingness is there. I mean, we are reaching out our hands to help you, tapi you in turn must bring your hand closer to us so that we can help you lah kan. So in a sense that maybe the way to learn to be creative is there, but you have to also make an effort, willingness, open mind tu dan sebagainya. And one of the things that if I can just share if I remember my childhood punya experience, and maybe sometimes these are things that maybe some of us can try to do, either we can do it for ourselves, for our children ke dan sebagainya, just to share. I remember, if you remember, like normally kids, they are told, don't touch this, don't do that, don't do. Banyak don't kan? Macam especially barang-barang perhiasan yang cantik-cantik kat rumah. When you're young, kecil, memang betul kita parents maybe takut kita pegang that vase ke kaca ni semua pecah, rosak satu bahaya juga. So we normally told don't. So what my mom did, okay, this is sometimes she does this when I was young. Dia suka buat benda-benda yang funny, pelik-pelik. So one of the things she did, I remember sampai sekarang pun, is dia akan bekukan satu koleh air tu, satu bekas, bekukan jadi ais, okay. And then bila dah frozen, she will give it to us, me and my brothers. Okay, this is okay now. Bayangkan, imagine this is a glass vase ni, a glass vase. But this one, you can do anything you can do anything with it. But of course, she took us outdoors lah, luar dari rumah lah. So you can do anything you want with it. So of course kita lepas geram lah. Okay lah. Sebab sebelum ni selalu kata tak boleh. Sekarang ni I got something that I can. So baling lah, pecah just to see how it looks like to berkecai yang ice. But it's ice lah, bukan kaca. To get us to do something that we maybe been told cannot do this. So I actually took the inspiration from that experience that I had when I was young. And I remember because I was doing workshop dan sebagainya, so I was asking myself, I was more critical myself. I said, hey, what have I done for my children to encourage creativity? So I try to use this part. I've done other things, but this part of my life experience, I say, okay. Also again, children have been told maybe jangan conteng dekat dinding, takut kotor dinding dan sebagainya. So I told my children, okay, sekarang ni, it was a project that I did over the weekend. So I choose one part of my house, which is outdoor, dekat courtyard lah, dekat courtyard. But of course with approval from my wife. Approve dulu. Boleh tak dinding ni? Okay, boleh. Approve dulu. Okay, once dapat approval, so I told them, okay, this one weekend I'm going to give you this one wall, because I got 2 kids, one boy, one girl. I told them, okay, you got this wall, you lukis lah, you buat apa-apa you want. You can conteng, anything you want. I give you the box of paper, watercolor, you buat lah apa-apa you nak. Okay, now, but I did something extra on top of that. I did not just give them, say, okay, you buat conteng apa-apa. Before the day that they chat though, they want to look at apa, I told them, okay, I was telling myself, okay, how can I add more value to this experience? So I took them to the National Art Gallery. Okay, because I want them to at least see what, rather than your mind conteng aja, and maybe it doesn't mean anything, I want them to be inspired. So I took them to the art gallery on a Saturday. I remember it was a weekend, so it was a weekend project lah. So Saturday I bawa them pergi art gallery, just let them have a look. I mean, they were still young now, maybe like umur 5 tahun, 7 tahun macam tu kan, still young. So I took them to see, okay, inilah art gallery. Although I myself pun not very well versed with all this artwork and all that, but I just took them bagi tengok semua. And then on Sunday, okay, now buatlah apa-apa you nak. I did not give them any condition except for just the border. I kata, okay, this one on the left ni abang buat ni, yang adik buat belah kanan. Okay, jangan kacau masing-masing. Semua dapat alat lukisan yang sama. Okay, so thinking that was it. I thought that was it lah. My exercise in creativity to allow my children is just to do that. But actually, it was a learning process for myself. Would you believe? And I wish I had the slide to show this. But essentially, it was also a learning experience for me to understand my children punya perangai, maybe I could say lah, perangai or dia punya inclination. Because what I could see, the difference was quite immense. My son would draw a lukisan of the galaxy, the galaxy with the stars, the bulan lah, apa semua, the bintang dan sebagainya, all very neatly lukis. My daughter pula was more like, I would say, what do you call that? Graphic. What's the word? Where it's dia macam there's no real main theme to her drawing, but not conteng, but it was more like random kind of objects and all that. But there were a lot of heart shape, love macam tu kan. So it gave me a bit of understanding and insight into what my children punya way of thinking. So I concluded my son ni a bit more organized, organized. Sebab dia tersusun dia main gambar tu. But my daughter maybe bercampur-campur semua tu. So that gave me a bit of an understanding. So it was a nice experience, and of course the wall in the end had to be painted off. It couldn't be remain there permanently. But what we did, we took picture of it, and now we have it in our room. Okay, in our room, pictures of. In fact, maybe nanti I will just kalau ada masa I can go upstairs to my room and bring it down. But basically, yeah, we got it, took picture of it, and then we kept it. For our.
I believe that maybe the VIPs of Mr. Abu Sufyan have some frustration that he was thinking that he's not creative enough, or he was questioning that he was not born with innate talent of the creativity. I would like to say a few words.
Sure.
Yeah, I do agree with Mr. Tuan Hussein Arif that mentioned, creativity born with the talent, because we do have the concept of left brain and right brain. And then we have the justification from the scientific study shows that left brain for the purpose of function this, right brain for the purpose of function this. Yeah, we do agree from the what do we call that? From the kesehatan side, scientific statement, creativity born with the innate talent. Some people born with creativity, some people don't. But then we do have the scholars that provide the guidelines. We are talking about creativity. Creativity is something that is subjective. We cannot measure 1 + 1 = 2. It is something that is subjective. But then our scholars from the whole world provided the guideline. We do have the element and principle. We do have the golden ratio. We do have the rule of third. We do have so many invention and innovation from the scholars from the previous innovation and inventors. So that's why we can see that the university, we can see the academic institution provided the program related to creativity, meaning that it is something that can be achieved through effort. So don't lose your hope. Just think that there's always a guideline. We can implement the system or the advice from Mr. Muizz Salleh, which by keep practicing, keep experimenting, and keep your persistence level on a high level. Always keep it optimum so that you can achieve on the same level with the people that born with the innate talent. So that is just only my 2 cents. Okay, so hope that will answer the question. We from BERNAS 2021 feel so grateful that we have this sharing session, forum session from our distinguished panel, Mr. Muizz Salleh, and then Tuan Hussein Arif. And unfortunately, we're running out of time. And then I would like to say a big thank you to our distinguished panel, a big thank you to our panel, to our representative of academician from Quiz and Unicells, and then a big thank you to cooperation from the AJKs of BERNAS 2021, and then a big thank you to the participation from the VIPs from Unicell and Quiz. And then I would like for us to open up the camera, and then we are going to have a photography session, a digital virtual photography session, I would say. Okay, so we will have a session. Hold on, yeah. Check it on. Is it okay, check it on? Hold on, yeah. Open up the camera, please. Open up the camera. Open up the camera, open up the camera. Although you are driving, although you are still sleeping, just open up camera so we can keep this into our memory. Okay, hold on, yeah. Two more, wait. Hold on, yeah. Hold on, hold on. Okay, last one. Okay, thank you everyone, and I would like to end this session. I would like to say Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very big thank you to all and everyone.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi. Thank you.